Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Nice to have you here.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, Shitu, I'll be leaving you in charge of the lobby. Please admit everyone in. Can we turn down the music whilst we start? Hi, DJ Shitu. Can we reduce the music slightly? Yeah, kill it. Yes, more like thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Shitu, for the nice music. Now, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on your time zone, to all our wonderful guests, the incredible women and amazing gentlemen joining us today. It's truly my pleasure to welcome you all to the RevUp Women International Women's Day. My name is Bedebon Gumo, Senior Ecosystem Events Officer at AfriLabs, and I am delighted to be joining you from the warm, very warm, and very sunny city of Abuja, Nigeria. I've been struggling to get my cameras on, but it's not working. So I think I'll be a voice of God today. That still works. But I feel bad because I think I put a little bit of makeup for us. So happy to see everyone. Thank you, Renee, for joining us. Lovely to see your face. Thank you, Mrs. Makinde. Happy to see your face as well.
Good afternoon.
Fumi, just give me a minute. For some reason, our moderator is having problems joining. So let me just share another link with her. She seems to be in the meeting room, but she isn't there. So let me share another link with her. Then I'll continue with my moderating role. Okay, so whilst we wait for people to join, more people to join and we'll get started, I would like to know who's in the room with us today. So if you would please kindly drop a message in the chat box telling us your name, what you do, and where you're joining us from. While the chat fills up, I'd like to invite two bold and wonderful women, it's Women's Day event after all, to raise their hands, and I'll call on you to briefly introduce yourself. So you'll be telling us your name, what you do, where you're joining from, and what you hope to gain from today's event. Can I see any hands up? Who's going to be our first taker? Oh, okay. I think the chats have started filling up. Let me read just quite a few whilst I wait for others to join. Thank you, Natando. You're joining us. You're a farmer. Nice to meet you. Joining us from South Africa. Thank you, Celeste Page, joining us from Cape Town. You're an immigration consultant. Okay, so who is going to be who are the two bold ladies who would unmute and introduce themselves? Or I will do the unmuting by myself. Okay, yes, we have Esther Hilda. Esther Hilda, the floor is yours. Let me unmute you. Just give me a minute. Esther, the floor is yours. Please proceed. Hi, Linda. I think I'd unmuted you to speak. Just a minute. Let me confirm that. Yes, Linda, you can speak. Can you try? Hi, Linda. Can you unmute to speak? Okay, if Linda can't speak, Utibe, can you unmute to speak? Yeah, so Utiba, you can unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, good afternoon. I don't know if my video is on or where I can put it on. My name is Utuba Kua, and I'm the founder of UT Trends Global Ventures, an agro processing company, and our flagship product is custard. I'm joining it from Abia cohorts, RevUp Women Initiative, Nigeria.
Thank you, Tube. Nice to have you on the call. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. Okay, can Esther speak now? In the interest of time, I think I'll proceed if Esther is not able to speak. So whilst thinking about this event, I just thought about all the wonderful women, all the wonderful strong women who are joining us, hardworking women from all over Africa, and I came up with a short ode. So here is a short ode to the hardworking women of Africa. You are she, focused, resilient, innovative, exceptionally skilled. Whenever you stand, value rises. Whether building your own venture or shaping excellence within the organizations you serve, you carry a quiet force that moves ideas forward and turns vision into reality. Your impact reaches far beyond the boardroom or marketplace. You strengthen economies, you nurture communities, you hold families together with courage, wisdom, and unwavering grace. Africa moves forward because you do. So stand tall in your strength, lift your voice with confidence, step boldly into every space you enter. For you are the woman who builds, who leads, who transforms, and the difference you make echoes far beyond today. So here's to the hardworking women of Africa. Can I get some hand clap, some applause? Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Okay, so to proceed, I'll be proceeding to just run through the agenda for the day before we have our wonderful lineup of speakers take this place. We'll be proceeding with brief welcome remarks just shortly. Then we'll move to opening remarks. We'll have a keynote address. I'll introduce each speaker as the time comes. We'll have a wonderful panel discussion. So excited for this as well. And then we'll have closing reflections. If we do our work well and we're smart with time, we should leave here within the next hour. We know we are all busy and we want to make very good use of our time. So without much ado, I would like to welcome Fumilayo Kulkrieg, the Senior Programs Officer here at AfriLabs. She'll be giving a brief introduction to International Women's Day 2026 and also context for the RevUp Women theme. Fumi, the floor is yours. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Bede. Hello, beautiful ladies. It's really an exciting opportunity to be here. First of all, thank you for taking out time to participate in this event. It was specially curated, for women across the globe and more specifically across the continent. One of the things I like to say is, why do we have, first of all, an International Women's Day, right? Why is it necessary to even have an International Women's Day? And some of the things that come to mind is, first of all, to celebrate women's achievements, right? I was listening to, I was watching a skit one day, and then I saw how somebody was saying that how would you, the person asked the question and said, why would you underestimate women? And then another person responded under to say, how do you even underestimate somebody who is able to carry another whole human being and push them out? So that in itself is a very tremendous feat. So we have the International Women's Day to celebrate women's achievements, right? Highlighting social, economic, cultural, and political contributions of women across the world. We also do this so that we can raise awareness around gender inequality, right? Despite the progress that many have said that we've had in the last couple of years, when I hear men always comparing to say, oh, we also need to focus on men and all those. I agree we need to, but the interesting thing about it is that even if we focus on women, for the next 10 years, it's still not enough. You still cannot put side by side the inequalities that women face, right, when it comes to gender inequality. We also do this so that we can advocate for women's rights. We do it so that we can mobilize a collective action. And so the idea today is not just to have an event and, just talk and go, but also at the end of the event, like Bede said, we'll be highlighting women and we'll be asking them specifically, what is one thing that you're taking away from this webinar that you're going to do? The UN theme is we're focusing on all women and rights, equality, and empowerment for women across the entire continent. And this emphasizes the rights of women, ensuring that women and girls enjoy all their full human rights without any form of discrimination. We're also addressing equality, right? What are some of the structural inequalities, such as economic participation, and more importantly, for the RevUp women, how are we able to access how are we able to address structural inequalities around areas for funding, right? We're also talking about empowerment, supporting women and girls with the tools and opportunities, that would help them to be able to lead and to innovate, right? When we now come to the RevUp theme, the RevUp Women theme for the International Women's Day is Beyond Walls, expanding access to essential business support for women, right? I see that a lot of the women in the chat box are participants of the RevUp cohort. So please give yourselves a huge, round of applause wherever you are. The whole purpose of the RevUp, the overarching goal of the RevUp Women Initiative is to support early stage women-led entrepreneurs across the African continent through 3 key ways. First of all, access to tailored capacity building, right? So what does it mean to have access to support for you as a woman who is building a business? How you be able to build a business structure, and you get pregnant in 9 months. How do you run that business, with that? So access to tailored capacity building, access to opportunities for funding, and then also access to female mentorship, right? So for example, how many of you even have access to, Mrs. Rene, who is on this call? How are we able to give you access to women who have done the things that you're able to do, or that you're trying to do, but they've done it well? How do we connect you with them so you can learn from them? If you see the picture on the screen currently, if you move to the next slide for me, you'll see that I have a picture there that shows reality, equality, equity, justice, and inclusion. And we're moving from a society that shows the reality of where we are up until inclusion, where you have everybody included in the game, no one left out, including the women, including the children. We need to be able to remove those walls. That's why we have a theme called Beyond Walls, removing those walls that ensure that women in themselves are valued and involved. So I'll now say thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for being here. I hope that, through this webinar, we're able to take specific, clear action points, as women on the call. Thank you so much. And over to you, Bede.
Thank you so much, Fumi, for that lovely context setting. And thank you. You couldn't have, I'm not sure anything better could have been done. That was just awesome. So I can see the chat box filling up. Thank you, Rute from Nigeria, based in Lisbon. Thank you, Abibat, a narcotic officer from Nigeria. Great to have you here. Thank you, Deborah from Abia State. Thank you, Ikapu, I'm so sorry, from Tanzania. I'm sure I didn't pronounce it well. That's why I stopped myself. Thank you, Deborah from Nigeria. Happy to have you join us. Ramfela from Durban, South Africa. Thank you to all our joiners, both those joining from Nigeria, those joining from other countries in Africa, and those joining out of Africa. We're happy to have you on board. And then to move this forward, I would like to call on our Director of Programs at AfriLabs, the very, very able Nanko Madu, to give us a context on what the RevUp Women means for AfriLabs. Nanko, the floor is yours, and to our colleague as well, our little colleague who is joining you today. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. Thank you so much, Bede. Hello, my amazing women. Unfortunately, our colleague has been sent back. Yeah, but thank you for that. I mean, it just shows further how, women as women, we juggle a lot of things, in doing the work that we do, but we continue to push. It is really a pleasure for me to welcome you all to this amazing and all important International Women's Day celebration. I'm so happy to see the numbers so far. I'm so, impressed with even the unique and vibrant, location that has joined this. It pushed to show that women will always show up, right? On behalf of AfriLabs, the Rubber Women Initiative, I want to believe that a number of us, have passed through or are passing through the Women Initiative. We thank you. I'm super delighted, to be part of this community, of entrepreneurs, of ecosystem builders, of partners, and the likes that are here today, powerful women. This year's theme, if you look at it, the way that Fumi has shared and captured it is beyond walls, expanding access to essential business support for women, and this basically invites us to reflect on the structures that shape women's participation and entrepreneurship and economic growth. I read a study somewhere that said that women, are being forced, when you look at the entrepreneurship landscape, women are literally, being forced to follow a pathway, that has been built with a man in mind, right? So as we're progressing and women are beginning to have their voice, how are we, as enablers, ensuring that the environment, the structures in place are beginning to reflect and to reflect the women, women first, but also ensuring that women are also deeply participating and, growing the economy across Africa, across the globe, women are building businesses. I like to read. So I saw an article this morning, and what the article by the Boston BGL, Boston Global Organization, and what it basically said was that, that women, although we receive less funding, in terms of access to funding for our businesses, the product, the what we do with that money is twice more than what, a male counterpart will do with the money. And so women are safeguards, they are safekeepers, they keep things, they nurture things, whether it's their children, whether it's a family member, whether it's a business, we do that, we contribute, we're building businesses while navigating the several layers of responsibility, that comes our way. And even far beyond the professional sphere, we are founders. We find, businesses, organizations. We are professionals. We are caregivers. Most times we juggle multiple of these roles at the same time. We are partners to our spouses. We are daughters to our parents. We are mentors and we are community leaders. And we move very, smoothly across these roles every day, sometimes multiple times a day, and most times we are having to navigate and balance ambition with the expectation that, our professions demand. you know uh we with these realities, we are not always designed, like I said, with women in mind. These realities were not always designed with women in mind, and yet we continue to build, we continue to be resilient, we continue to push forward, because we know that giving up is never an option. We build our businesses, we build our families, we build our communities, we build our church, communities, we build solutions that strengthen economies, we transform lives, we truly thrive. But one of the things that I always say is that resilience sometimes is not enough, right? Being resilient cannot always be the expectation. And what is required, particularly at such a time, is intentional systems, intentional support structures, and intentional access to, support, access to funding, and access to skills and capability acquisition. And as we try to take down these walls that Fumi has so well articulated, it is important that they do not simply shift or reappear in new forms, right? The barriers we dismantle must remain down, and they must create lasting pathways for those that are coming, behind us. The opportunity and the access for many women who are building today and those that are coming must continue to be sustained. Because when women are supported, the impact extends far, far beyond individual success. It strengthens communities. There's a saying, I'm sure most of you are familiar with, which says that build a woman and you build a community, because she will ensure that she passes down, whatever it is that she's building, she carries everyone along as well. When we expand economic participation and help create a future where ambition and capability are never limited by gender. Today's conversation is therefore an important one. It is an opportunity for us to listen, to learn, to contribute. I like the interaction happening so far. Please, let's sustain it, and an opportunity for us to continue to shape the kinds of systems that truly support women entrepreneurs in this instance. To every woman joining us today, the RevUp community, the RevUp women community thanks you for your courage, for your vision, and for the incredible work that you're doing in your communities, in your countries, in your states, in your counties, and for your countries, and for the entire continent of Africa. You are not only building businesses, you're shaping the future. Let's continue to do that. I thank you once again for being here. I wish you a happy International Women's Day. And I wish that, we listen, we take on, we have a lineup of very seasoned, very successful, but very fantastic and impactful, women and leaders that will be taking us through today's webinar. Let's engage and let's continue to carry the lessons and implement them as we move on. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best, even post the session.
Thank you so much, Nanko Madu, for that enlightening talk. Thank you for what you said. Yes, we're hoping that the tools the women will get from today will not just help them here, but help them build even more as to strengthen their communities. I've seen so many he for she's on the call, and I would like to give a special shout out to all of them, beginning with Shitu. Thank you very much. Thank you, our CEO Ajibola, for joining us. Thank you, dear Gracious. Thank you to Israel. Thank you to the other he for she's on the call that I can't mention because of time. Now, to move us forward, I always love hearing this lady speak. She is so inspirational. I can't listen to her for hours. It's my utmost pleasure to bring on our board chair at AfriLabs and the co-founder of our labs, Ms. Renee Parker, to give us the keynote speech. The floor is yours, Ms. Renee. Take it.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh my goodness, I was listening to the messages that were going out now. And it's so powerful. There's a moment in time when women and men, because we have men on the school, so thank you so much. But there's a moment in time when women pause. And this is definitely one of those moments. I'm really honored. I'm privileged to be here and to address you today. And I would like to start by addressing a word we use far too often, not only in these circles, in many different spaces. And it's the word empowerment. We talk about empowering women, you know, as if it's power, you know, a power resource, and that we are handing out to anyone, you know, or like dust, you know, we're just sprinkling power over women, and there you go, women are empowered. And so, again, you know, that's just an example of one of the things that we do without being really intentional about giving women the power. So definitely, you know, my years at R Labs and sitting on the AfriLabs board, I've learned a very, very different truth. And all my years on this continent, that women in Africa definitely don't lack power. We are not sitting around for somebody to switch us on. We're not sitting around for someone to sprinkle power on us. We do not lack power. But what we do lack is infrastructure. We definitely don't lack vision, but we lack velocity. And so for too long, for far too long, you know, access to business support, as was mentioned earlier on, especially with the RevUp Women program. And I love it that we have programs specifically designed, implemented, run, supported by women for women. And so access to business support for women really has been treated like a social concession, you know, a box that we need to check, you know, when we have to do our reports to our funders. It's something we need to tick. Did we give, did we allow access to business support for our entrepreneurs, right? Or sometimes it's in a CSR report, you know, our corporate social responsibility reports, or we see it as a moral favor, you know, and sometimes we do it purely for the sake of inclusion. But today, and it's always, you know, there's no better time to start anything than today. The time that you find yourself is always a good time to start, to change, to be better. And so today, yeah, I would like to say that this narrative is dead. We are not here today because helping women is nice. We've seen that. We are here because investing in women is a macroeconomic imperative. It's much bigger than what we think it is, the impact. Nanko spoke about that earlier on. And so if we want a resilient, we talk about resilience very freely, a high growth African economy, business support for women isn't just a gender issue, but it's a market efficiency issue. So I'm just going to explain a little bit what this access actually means. Because frankly, I believe, and this is my personal view and opinion, we have mentored women to death. We have given them enough inspiration to last a lifetime. But we do know you can't pay your salaries, you can't pay your staff, you can't pay the bills with this inspiration. And so the real access, the ones that certain part of our population has free access to, freely, the real access, the kind that moves the needle, because that is what we're wanting to do. And we are moving the needle, not fast enough, but we are with programs like RevUp Women and other initiatives that are happening. And so the real access, the kind that moves the needle, consists of three non-negotiable pillars. The first one, capital and context. It's not just about the check, but you know, the check that gets written to you and you get told you're getting X amount of capital sent to you. But it's about actually who's writing this check. So we need investors who understand that women-led businesses, we de-risk faster and more efficiently. The previous speaker, Nanko, spoke about this as well, that women-led businesses de-risk faster. Support means capital that doesn't just look for the next unicorn, That's also a big buzzword on our continent. But looks for sustainable and scalable profitability. And that's really all that women want. The second one is the power of the corridor. So at AfriLabs, we can see the power of this network every day. Access means a founder I'm sitting in Cape Town, so I'm going to use Cape Town as an example, means a founder in Cape Town having seamless runway to Lagos, Nairobi, or Cairo. And that's why it's important to be part of these networks. But more importantly, it's important that we build these networks and we keep them going and we don't get tired of facilitating it. It also means breaking down the borders that keep our businesses small. We spoke about walls earlier on, breaking down the walls, breaking down the barriers. At the same time, we are also to blame because we also keep our businesses small. So support is a warm intro to regional supply chain, not just a seat in a webinar. And so the next time anyone says, oh, I'm supporting women entrepreneurs, let's be clear on what that support looks like. Make the introductions in the spaces you are in. Make sure you are introducing the entrepreneurs that don't have access to these rooms. The third one, and the last one, is infrastructure over intent. So we need to stop asking women to be super women who do it all. We know that we can multitask. We know that we are efficient. We know that we are capable, we are able. We've seen it for generations, right? It's not just now. But at the same time, we can't just tell a woman that you can be an entrepreneur, right? But you have to provide women with the tools. At R Labs, we call it a R Lab stack. So it means we give you digital tools, look at legal compliance support, the technical back office that allows you as a founder to stop surviving your operations and start leading your strategy. That's another thing that we know is so real in our entrepreneurs. So you're an entrepreneur, you go for your entrepreneurial training, and then you expected to innovate, to be creative, to do the marketing, to do the accounting, to do the books, to make sure your tax is up to date. And so for many of especially the women entrepreneurs that I speak to, they are exhausted and they say, I'm surviving. When I ask, hey, how's your business? And those are actual words that we use. And when I try to dig down, what are you surviving? It's really the operations. It's those mundane things that is tying you down. And so I do believe when we're saying we're providing business support to entrepreneurs, that these are things that we actually provide. And we take that away from the women so that they can start leading with strategy. And so when we provide the piping, or like we call it, the technology, the logistics, the compliance, and remove all this friction that happens in the background that usually slows women down, we understand that infrastructure is the ultimate equalizer. We all need access to that. And so let's look at the math, right? Data tells us a lot. So data tells us that women reinvest 90% of their income back into their families and communities. So when a woman-led business scales, a village scales. And in our context, we see an economy scales. We've seen it with our counterparts and with men. And I was also doing some reading, and one of the statements was that women reinvest their income into the local community. So whatever money they're making in their business and they're generating would stay locally, right? And so that's the impact that you are creating. And it's also how you build economies of scale. But for the men, the money goes offshore, they're investing in something else, because the first instinct is not to reinvest it. locally. And so, you know, women have this innate ability to make sure that everyone is okay. And in our instance, we know that these are our entrepreneurs. This is what they are doing. So they are building economies. We also see high rates of female entrepreneurship. We see many women going into business, but there's a massive stagnation at the missing middle. And this is really because when a man's business grows, we call it scaling. But when a woman's business grows, we often still call it a project. And this bias literally costs us billions. I saw another stat. I think the gap is like $42 billion. And so to the people on the call and anyone listening, to the investors and ecosystem players listening, if you are not aggressively seeking out women-led enterprises to integrate into your portfolios, you are literally leaving money on the table. You're operating at half capacity. A continent, our continent, and I'm talking about Africa now, that ignores the scaling potential of 50% of its population, because we know that's how much of the population women make up. 50% of the population is a continent that has chosen to stay in second gear. And we know that Africa, we don't have time for second gear. And so today, as we enter into this RevUp Women virtual event, I really want to set a bold tone for the dialogues to follow. And I know we're going to have panel discussions, and I'm really looking forward to that. And so to any founders in the room, do not apologize for your ambition. Do not shrink your vision to fit the size of a grant that somebody is offering you. I know that's really a hard one, because when you are really struggling in your business, you know, desperation makes us do crazy stuff. And so you might consider accepting something that you know is not to the value of what you have on offer. So I would implore all the founders in the room, on the call, the ladies, do not shrink your vision to fit the size of a grant or anything that someone else is offering you. You are not a beneficiary. You're an executive. This is your business. And so demand support that reflects the size of your roadmap. And for all women that have come through any incubation program, you know that you have a roadmap. There's something that you're working to. And then to the ecosystem leaders, like myself, I fall in that category. Our job is really to move from mentorship to sponsorship. Because a mentor talks to you, but a sponsor talks about you in the rooms where the deals are signed. If we can just be intentional about that. Let's not just talk to the entrepreneurs, but let's talk about them in the rooms where we are. Where the conversations are happening, where the deals are being made. Let's talk about our entrepreneurs there. And we need to be the bridge builders. We need to turn the potential into proven business models. This has already been done, really on a micro scale. And so if we are all intentional about it, it means we can increase it. And we've seen what happens when you give a woman a platform and a tool set. You have to give her the tools. She doesn't just build a business. She builds a movement. And at AfriLabs, we've seen what happens when these movements connect across the continent. We're really creating an unstoppable economic engine. And so in closing today, let today mark the end of the charity conversation. Let us frame access to business support for what it truly is. It's the smartest investment we, and that's all of us, we can make for the future of the African continent. We aren't just revving up women, we are revving up the entire economy. Let's move from empowerment to ownership. And definitely, we have to get to work. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Miss Renee Parker. Yes, yes, yes. I'm seeing the applause. I'm seeing the love emojis. We love it. We love it. Thank you for giving us of your time. Thank you for your wise words. Thank you for your impactful words as well. Very, very well received. So in the interest of time, I'm going to move forward very, very swiftly to our panel discussion. This is the second speech or the second dialogue we've been anticipating for today. When we're putting together this panel, we were very, very, very intentional. We wanted to hear from both sides of the divide, someone who's been in business for so long, multi-industries, and then someone who works with helping women and others access capital, and we're able to do that. And then the panel is being nicely moderated by seasoned SME-focused journalists, if I may put it that way. So yes, I'd like to call on Miss Linda to take the floor as our panelist and to introduce our other panel, to take the floor as our moderator, sorry, and to introduce our panelists. Miss Linda Ochebo, the floor is yours. And please forgive me for not pronouncing your surname very well. Linda, you're muted. Could you please unmute and say
Oh,
what
I'm
you
so
were saying
sorry.
again? Oh, thank you. Yes, can hear your
Good
wonderful voice
afternoon,
now.
thank you, Betty, for this amazing opportunity. Thank you so much to everyone who have made out time from their very busy schedule. We know how busy this month of March is going to be back to back with physical events and webinars. Thank you for making our time. I technically have 20 minutes, so I'll be as fast as possible so that some of my panelists who have other meetings can run. So bear with me. For today, we're looking at International Women's Day for 2026, and it's framed globally around the theme rights, justice, and action for all women. From this year, we've seen that the call to action is persistent amongst, legal, economic, and structural barriers that limit women's full participation in the society, and which is why we've decided to have this to just move from just mere talking to seeing how do we actually create this supportive system for women. And thank you so much for AfriLab and Visa for putting this together. I would like to quickly read just a snippet or a paragraph from the amazing. I want to read their profile for Mrs. Nikki and Mr. Look, but just for you to have a clue of the kind of people we're having on this panel, I will take 2 questions for them, and I will take only 1 question from the floor for just to look if that's fine. So please let's listen attentively. My first panelist, in no particular order, is we're thrilled to welcome on stage Mrs. Nike Makinde. She's a distinguished Nigerian entrepreneur, investor, board leader, and lawyer as a panelist for the RevUp Women IWD 2026 virtual event. Nike's remarkable career spans over 30 years across multiple high-impact sectors. She has successfully founded and led companies ranging from telecoms and manufacturing to insurance, and currently serving as the chairman of Loma Microfinance Bank. She continually provides high-level strategic oversight and direction. Having thrived in industries traditionally dominated by men, Nika brings unparalleled resilience and foresight to the table. She is a living testimony what it means to go beyond walls. Please join me and put your hands together as we welcome Mrs. Nika Makinde. My next speaker is admirable and adorable Miss Tolope Babajide. Tolope Babajide, MBA, our esteemed panelist from the RevUp Women IWD 2026 virtual event, is a global inclusive finance expert who is actively transforming the landscape of MSME financing across Africa. As the program coordinator for the FinRise program at the African Guarantee Fund, she drives gender mainstreaming with SME finance, capital markets, and digital financial services. With deep expertise in bridging policy, capital enterprise, and realities across Anglophone and Francophone markets, Tolope operates on a clear conviction: inclusive finance must be commercially credible and structurally aligned to unlock real growth for women.
If you are a founder looking to understand how to navigate financial systems and access the capital you need to scale, you cannot afford to miss to hear from her today. Please put your hands together to welcome my amazing panelists. So today I am thrilled, I am privileged, and more than happy to be chairing and moderating this session because I know that we are going to learn a lot. Please bring your pen and paper to the table so that you do not miss any important point as we go through today. So my first question will be going to Miss Nika. Mrs. Nika, if you're ready for me. Are you ready? Okay, so number one, what advice would you give women entrepreneurs to help them navigate their business? With the amazing number of experience, I think this question is splendid for you. Thank you, Ma. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mrs. Nika Makinde. I actually trained as a lawyer and I went into business later because that was my passion. My advice to women entrepreneurs is to build three things very intentionally. One, capacity readiness, and credible networks, 2 and 3. Capacity ensures that you truly understand your market and your numbers. You need to be prepared. Capital readiness means structuring your business so that investors can trust it. And credible networks opens doors that competence alone cannot open. A lot of women treat their businesses as if they're just, they need it for money to pay for their lifestyles or to pay for kids' school fees. I know that women are carrying a lot of burdens, but you can't do that because at the end of the day, what you make should be put back into your business. And if you don't put it back into your business, it will eventually die. So it's important that we work on things like capital readiness. In other words, make sure that you have put a lot of things together that will give you enough capital to let your business grow the way it should grow. You also need to make sure that your investors can trust your business. They need to know that your documentation is in place. You are compliant with all the regulations, you're paying your taxes, things are not going to come back and bite them if they invest with you. Then you need to really prepare yourself for credible networks. In other words, you need to be able to go into rooms where there are people there that can help you, but they've got to know that they can trust you too before they let you into their own ambit. And then all these things put together with a lot of hard work and tenacity will help you move. Women entrepreneurs must treat their businesses as scalable enterprises, not just survival ventures. You must keep proper financial records. You must invest in continuous learning, that is capacity building, not just for yourself, but also for your staff. And you must position your business where decision makers and opportunities exist. Go to seminars, go to trade fairs, make yourself visible. Then you must also have this leadership mindset where you do not underestimate the power of your confidence and your visibility for yourself and for your business. A lot of women do excellent work, but they stay invisible. They're under the radar. Maybe it's a confidence issue, but we must go where opportunities are decided, be at the table where the decision makers are. We must show up, we must speak up, and we must position expertise to be seen. Then we should be resilient and strategic. Entrepreneurship needs tenacity. There'll be moments that even I've had where funding is scarce and doors close to you, but you can't take no for an answer. These moments, you have to focus and strengthen your value proposition. You have to refine your strategy and you have to stay disciplined throughout the execution. Women entrepreneurs must move from just working hard in their businesses to working strategically on their business. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Nika. Thank you very much. I'm going to move quickly to Tolu Lope, if that's fine, if I got that right. For Tolu, I'm going to take your 2 questions, and then I'm going to come back to Ms. Nika for our final question before we go to the audience, just to manage time. So for Tolu, my first question for you is, what are the biggest structural walls limiting women entrepreneurs today? Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. And it's been really insightful listening to Ms. Renee and then listening to Mrs. Makinde. And I've been very fortunate to work across Africa, across various markets. And it's also exciting to know that there are women entrepreneurs from various African markets that are represented here today. When it comes to structural wars, I know a lot of time we will typically face women and say that women need to be trained more, women need to keep their books more, women need to be able to show up more. Those are demand side challenges, right? But also, the reason why women entrepreneurs have not really scaled, it's not so much on the women themselves, but rather on the supply side and the policy side. So I would start with some of the various uh, challenges and wars that have consistently limited women from scaling their businesses. In Africa, evidence has shown us, and I know that a lot of people on this call have also heard it, that we in Africa has the largest number of entrepreneurs all over the world, largest number. But these numbers are not translating to the business sizes of the women entrepreneurs. It's not translating to the growth potential of each of these business of each of these business because of some very persisting structural walls. The first will be collateral. We keep saying a woman should scale a business, but have we ever also sat down to really think about what does it take for a woman to scale a business? Yes, she can keep all the books in the world. She can treat her business like a very like a business should be run. But then, if she's not able to acquire debts at a particular phase of her business, she will not be able to scale. Then she will be limited to always waiting for grants, always waiting for small size small size loans, which are not going to really help her. So let's say, for example, a woman owns a farm. She's currently farming on a one plot land and she wants to scale. But what does scale mean? Meaning, scale might mean that she needs to access 10 hectares of land. She might mean that she needs to move mechanized tractors onto that land. For her to be able to access that, she needs debt, and she needs not just the loan that she can get informally, not the kind of loan she can get from friends. She needs substantial debt. And when she goes to the bank, what is the first thing that the bank will ask her? The bank will ask her, what do you have any landed property? But in Africa and across the various markets that I've worked, how many women truly have landed property? How many women can have lands to their names? So the problem is not so much about how whether the women want to scale or not. The problem is how the credit risk is structured. So now there's a lot of work that is being done to work with the financial service providers to say that if a woman does not have a land, that doesn't make her very risky. It doesn't make her risky. It doesn't make her volatile. What are the alternative data sets that can be used? As long as collateral is the unmovable collateral, meaning landed properties, we will see a lot of women not being able to really scale their businesses. And their businesses will remain at that very subsistent level, meaning that you can only do maybe 500,000 naira, they can only do 30,000 Kenya shillings. Not being able to do that big size, businesses that can allow them to be known across the continent. One of the other structural war that we have also, and I will stop at that, is market access barrier. We keep talking about we want women to scale. But if you look at how Africa currently is also structured, we have various borders where we have, let's say, for example, a woman in Cote d'Ivoire. I can see a lot of women. I saw some women from Cote d'Ivoire. I see some women from Cape Town, from all these countries. How many of these women are currently moving their goods and services from one country to another. Do you know how much that costs? And if you don't have access to markets, you can get all the capital in this world. If you cannot sell what you are selling, if you cannot have a market for what you're selling, you are as good as not having the capital at all. So what is needed? Because for every of these challenges, there are also solutions to them. That is where after comes in, but after itself cannot be operational until we solve some fundamental issues. And these fundamental issues is, for example, if I'm going to Mozambique as a Nigerian, I can't freely go into Maputo without being stopped. I can't just wake up and say I want to go to Cape Town as a Nigerian. I can't. And so we are asking for access to markets when human beings themselves have not gotten access. So this takes us back to the African Union. It takes us back to the strong entities. And that is where policy really matters. Policy is very critical, even in women's empowerment or women's economic power. Women entrepreneurs will not be able to move beyond a certain level. We will just be doing this very subsistent and having this kind of conversations, but until real conversations is had and real policies shifts are made, then we are going to be at this very subsistent level. There are other barriers, but I think for the sake of time, I will stop at this. Over to you, Linda.
Thank you so much. You've actually answered almost all my questions today, but you broke everything down. You gave us the challenges, you gave us the solutions, and everyone is clapping. So I have one question for you, but you're going to have to take it in 2 minutes so that I can ask Nike before we take one question from the audience, if you don't mind. So my question for you in 2 minutes: what bold commitments should institutions make in 2026 that can help break down these walls to really move from just mere talk to supporting businesses? The floor is yours. You have 2 minutes, if that's fine. Thank you, Tolope.
So, Linda, are you addressing the question to me?
Yes, that's your second question. You have 2 minutes,
Okay,
please.
thank you. Thank you very much. So I would say the first thing is for the central banks of countries to mandate financial service providers, or for them to themselves to move from immovable collateral to movable collateral. So let's say, for example, a woman in the northern Nigeria has a lot of gold. That is money, right? So why is the financial service provider not using that as a collateral? Because that is enough collateral to be used, right? So, and also the central banks also, they need to move beyond just seeing women as charity. I believe that what has happened consistently over the years is that women entrepreneurs have been seen as, and Ms. Renee mentioned it, and they have been seen as beneficiaries. They've not been seen as customers. So strong business case, evidence has shown us consistently across various markets in Africa that women are profitable. We don't need to have a section that talks about how profitable women are. Women are the best. When it comes compared to men, women are better repayers of loans. Evidence has shown us this consistently. So why are we then still designing not for women? But there are various categories of women. As we are on this call, we are all not the same. So women are different. Women retail traders are different from women smallholder farmers. They are different from women that are working 9 to 5 jobs. So the kind of financial services that we need differ. The kind of financial products that I need totally differ from a woman that is an entrepreneur. So we need to begin to segment women and to begin to design products for this kind of women segment. So women in themselves are very heterogeneous. They are not a homogeneous group. So when we are talking about women, we should not clump women together because they are different. And when we are designing for them, when we are speaking to financial service providers, either they are microfinance banks, either they are commercial banks, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, 4 banks, they should know that women are different and they should not use the same yardstick when it comes to risk assessment to access these women, because women are not the same. I would say again, what needs to change is that we also have fragmented ecosystem supports. So we keep talking about women should get mentoring, women should get sponsorship, but what is the how? We talk so much about how this is what we should do, but the how is the problem, and that is the challenge that we have in Africa. Is the how? How do we really get this done? A woman that is in Akwa Ibom, a woman that is in Abia State, how do we connect her to sponsorship? How do we connect her to resources that are very customized for her, so that she's able to really use this system in a way that benefits her? And also, I would say that design, and I will go back to design. Nowadays, and I know that there are some people that are from Zambia, I don't know. Zambia, so let me use Zambia as an example. Zambia has been experiencing back-to-back climatic change, back-to-back climatic events. If it is not a drought this year, it is too much rain next year. So as a woman, smallholder farmer, tell me how that, even if she gets loan, she's going to default on that loan. So design is very important. And I would say I'll go back to the government, because everything also rises and lies with the governments. The government has a lot to do. The private sector has its own role, but when it comes to policies, when it comes to the way that we look around land ownership, around collateral, around in some countries, you know that you need your husband, if you are married, you need your husband's signature before you can open an account. Do you know that? Before, and in Ethiopia, I was very shocked. Some years ago, I was working in Ethiopia, and I had that before you can get a loan in some parts of Ethiopia, your husband has to ratify that form that he can guarantee you. So you need a guarantor, your husband, to guarantee you before you get loan. So, but the private sector cannot change that. It's the government that will change that. So, me being here today is not saying that women entrepreneurs are not doing enough. I believe that they're doing more than enough, because it's not easy also to juggle. And a lot of our speakers have spoken about juggling. But what has been persistently occurring from year to year is the lack of support. But how do we then work? And I believe that is where AfriLabs, with the program that they are implementing, comes in. Talking to the financial service providers, talking to the policymakers, even if it is 10 women that are able to access support, that are able to access capital, that are able to access market, then we've ticked the box. But I will stop at that point. Thank you.
You have exceeded your 2 minutes. You spent 6 minutes, so you owe me some
I'm so
extra.
sorry.
Thank you so much. Really, it's really very interesting listening to you. And I'm going to jump quickly to Mrs. Nike. Your second and final question is: what role should government play in supporting women business? So, look, please, before you run away, I might take one question from the audience for you, and that will be it, and we'll call it a day. Mrs. Nike, the floor is yours.
Well, I have to thank Tolulope. She's answered most of that for me.
She answered everything, I agree.
But it's beautiful what she said, because I totally agree with her. One thing I would like to put on top of it, maybe to encapsulate everything, is to say that women, just being a woman, should be seen by government as collateral in itself. I believe that as she said, we're not just beneficiaries. We bring a lot to the table for the government. Most of the businesses in Africa, at least I'd say a huge majority, are women owned. And women are very good at repaying loans. They are beneficial in that what they make out of the little profits they make, they look after the whole community. They feed the nation literally and actually bring up the nation. So if there's going to be any credit scores, let's say it's a credit score from 0% to 100%, and they're putting women against men, I think women should start being scored already at 50% for just coming in as a woman. That's what I believe. And government should recognize this. Government needs to make policies. If we keep talking about government making policies, we can all sing this song over and over again. They should make policies that improve access to credit. Yes. I'll give Nigeria as an example. We have BOI, we have Nextim, we have quite a few of these institutional investing organizations. But the same problems exist, exactly what Tolulope said. The things they call as collateral. If a woman doesn't have land, culturally, women don't inherit land in a lot of areas in our country. I don't know about other parts of Africa, but I believe it's the same in other parts of the world. Where are you going to get landed property from? Up to the 1970s, I only learned a few days ago when I was researching that even in Nigeria, women who were lecturers in university could not access loans from the university organizations, University of Ibadan, when you have people like Professor Lele Williams having to riot and make sure that they change the law, they had to be going to ask their husbands for permission to get the loans. Husbands had to sign off. Where do you start talking about collateral with that sort of thing? So we need government to be intentional in anything they're going to do with women. They should stop paying lip service. We all know these things. These are all things that everybody can spout from the top of our heads. But how do they actualize it? They need to be intentional in making policies that all these banks and institutional investors must have a percentage that should go to making sure that the collateral and all the other things that are needed are not, even if they're not totally expunged, they must be creative about what can be used. Women own a lot of jewelry traditionally. Their jewelry sometimes even worth more than men. They should be able to use that. They should be able to get their communities, maybe their associations, where a lot of women traders are part of, to be able to vouch for them, and that should be collateral. If the association leaders and the association circles all vouch for this particular women entrepreneur, that should be good enough. We have to look at things in a different way. We also have to, government has to also be intentional when it comes to procurement. There's all these government contracts, there's all these government agencies that are procuring. In other countries, I think America, I'm not sure, but I know in a lot of other countries, they actually have a certain percentage that is kept for women. This should be something that the government should intentionally do. Then they should also have capacity building programs, which should go a long way in helping women entrepreneurs. Make sure that those capacity building training programs are centered around times that women can get off their work, maybe have a creche for their children to be at while they're doing the training. And like I said, it should be intentional. If they can do all of these, I think they'll see a big difference. And I do agree totally with what Tolulope said. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Makinde. Thank you so much, Ms. Tolope Babajide. For some reason, I think Linda is having connection issues, so I'll just step in briefly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We had promised to take just one question from the audience for Ms. Tolulope. Do we have anyone who wants to ask a question? You can raise your hands. And I would like to thank everyone who's been contributing to the conversation in the chat box. It's been very lively. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have Jed. Jed, please unmute and ask your question. Just a minute. I think I need to unmute you. Okay, your mic is already enabled. So please unmute and ask your question. Hello, Jed. Hello? Okay, if
My
Jed
network.
can't.
Do they have any
Yes,
questions? Thank you
yes,
very much.
Linda, I figured. Okay, so Linda, I'm going to hand over back to you. I was trying to take a question from Jed, but I think the person is not able to unmute and speak. If there's no other question, I'll allow you bring the panel discussion to a close. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. So sorry for our network that still gives us issue in Africa. Mrs. Nika, thank you very much. You are absolutely amazing. Thanks for sharing from your wealth of knowledge. We couldn't have had a better speaker on this topic but you. To my amazing Miss
Thank you very
Tolulope,
much.
you were amazing. You actually broke everything down, gave us the challenges, and also give us solution. To wrap it up, I would just want to take 30 seconds of your time. I think it's important that we understand our proper financials, according to Madam Nike. We'll understand the power of confidence and visibility, making sure that people can see us, they can hear us, and understand. And I think if we all work together as a team, we're able to then sit down on boards and table that we create policies that would affect us and that will make things better and easier for us. Also, to wrap up from Tolulope, she talked about collateral, which is the same thing as Ndeta about, talked about market access barrier, talk about changes in the weather and how it affects small businesses. But the major thing is that we must understand that policies should be different from place to place, from culture to culture, country to country, and that things should be made easier for women. And the honest truth is that, Mrs. Nika, you are right. Even in Igbo culture, they still don't give any landed property to a girl. Only the son. And if there's no son, it goes to another son from another brother in another family. You don't own anything, no house, no land, only to the men. And then the question then is, how do we get collateral to do business if we're not allowed to own, if we're not allowed to buy? We must seek preparation and approval. But these things have to change. Whatever it is that we have should be enough to help us to get the fundings to expand our business. On that note, I want to say thank you for having me as your moderator. Thank you so much, Afrila, for believing in me. I have learned a lot preparing for this and working with my amazing panelists. I couldn't have done this without you. And thank you for the opportunity. It was nice meeting everyone. Thank you, and have a very beautiful day. International Women's Day, everyone out there.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Linda. Thank you for doing an exceptional job. Thank you, Mrs. Makinde. Thank you for the wealth of your experience. Thank you, Ms. Babajide. Thank you so much also for drawing from the wealth of your experience. I'm sure we are leaving here equipped, knowing what to do and knowing how to go about